Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, everyone. Bernard King here from MyGridironFace. Welcome to the live stream, guys. Not too much an eventful day, but there was some upset losses, but not necessarily in the top 10, but there were some top 25 upsets. So, pretty much lower. The upsets were more so lower ranked teams within the top 25. But however, there were some upsets. Actually, right now, looking at the way things are going, Arizona just beating Texas Tech last week. Arizona State beating Texas Tech last week, upsetting them, and caused them to, and because of that, resulted in them entering into the top 25, and they're losing right now to Houston, 24-18. I think it's the timeout left. So looks like an upset that's on the horizon for that, because Houston is relatively unranked, and actually they're 6-1. So Houston could top the top 25. But without any further delay, hold on for a second, y'all. Let me get this out of the way. Hold on just a second, y'all. Sorry. Hold on. Sorry about it, everybody. Hold on for just a second. I'm still here. I am still here. Wow. Had something in the way, folks. Had some things in the way. Let me straighten this mic up a little bit too. This way. Boom. All right, that's better right there. Hold on for a second. Hold on. Hold on, y'all. Oh, everything's popping out right now. Hold on for a second. What in the hell? What's going on? Oh, okay. All right, there it is. Hold on, y'all. Let me do some straighten up around here real quick. All right, there it is. And hold on. I don't want to mess up my things. Hold on just a second, y'all. Hold on for a second. Hold on. Just hold on. Let me do this real quick. Hold on. Bear with me, folks. Let me just straighten some things up. Do some cosmetic things around here real quick. Hold on just a second. Hold on. That one. Hold on. Let me just go back to the main screen. I just need to spin this up a little bit, folks. Put that right there. Oh, there it is. Hold on. Here we go. Sorry about that, everybody. Okay. Oh, wow. Sorry about it, everybody. I had some things to break around here. Oh, wow. Okay. I'll put this right here for the time being. For the stream, I'll just go back and get some more clips. So, sorry about that, everybody. I had some things that fell off. All right, let me grab my. So my iPad didn't break though. Good. Yeah, my iPad didn't break. Let's see. So, oh, that way. Yeah, my iPad didn't break. That's good though. Yeah, I had this microphone. Actually, I had these clamps on the microphone, and actually both of the clamps had breaking. So the wire's okay. I'll fix all this stuff later. Hold on for a second. Just a second, y'all. Hold on. Just a second. No, I'll do this as well. All right. I got some more clamps in the box. But at any rate, we're back, everybody. Sorry about that. I had some wires that twisted up around here. I actually went to switch to the other screen and kind of find out these clamps had actually broke it. I got another microphone over here. And everything. Oh, okay, yeah. So I got another microphone over here. So I got other clamps that go good with it. But anyway, let's go ahead and get on to the show. Let's go ahead and go to the scores real quick and go over things real quick. All right, here we go. Hit the refresh button. And everybody, let's see here. That game has, okay, looks like Houston's going to be Arizona State. But let's go ahead and move down here real quick. You know, just go over the scores and everything of that nature. Like I said, last night, was it the game last night? Yes. I don't think it was a game last night. Yeah, there was some games last night, but don't think that these games were, I don't think they were big primetime games or had any significant, any kind of ranking to these games and things of that nature. But, I'm sorry, hold on. Pause. My bad. I knew I heard something. I'm sorry, everybody. I heard something in the background, so it's actually a video playing. But at any rate, let's go ahead and get to the scores real quick. Oh, also, not only that, let me switch over here real quick. I'm sorry. Let me switch over here real quick. I meant to tell you all real quick. My co-host Daniel, D-Lump, he couldn't make it tonight. I just had to put that out there. I should have started off with that. But my co-host D-Lump could not make it tonight, but he will be on the live stream tomorrow night. I may have an extra guest on here as well. So I'll pretty much reiterate that as I'm going through this live stream as well, just to, repeat, let you guys know, just informal, just for informal purposes. But at any rate, my co-host D-Lump could be here tonight. I probably have he'll be here tomorrow night, definitely tomorrow night. So we got a lot of things to cover in the NFL and, pretty much on the NBA thing tomorrow as well. So probably I was going to talk about it tonight. I'm going to save it to tomorrow. So, get more insight, input, and provide more information. Also, just get a round table, have a discussion about it. But even though the NBA has been named and, it's pretty much the FBI came out on the NBA. But however, we're going to transpose that to football as well. So you don't want to miss tomorrow's show. And, some other things that are going to be going on tomorrow. So we'll be doing NFL tomorrow. But tonight is college. But so anyway, I just had to put it out there. So let's go ahead and go to the college scoreboard real quick. And, okay, all right, that game is over with, finally. All right, now I'll hit the refresh button right here. Let me go ahead and go in. And Houston has beat Arizona State. Again, another top 25 upset. So let's go ahead and start with that game first. Let's go ahead and start with that game. Actually, hold on. These daggone ads, man, killing me. Hit the pause button, folks. Hold on, I'm sorry, y'all. What in the hell? Okay. I keep hearing, okay, this damn commercial keep playing. All right, I'll pause it. But at any rate, going to the Arizona and Houston game, Houston, like I said, Arizona just beat Texas Tech last week, upsetting them, giving them the top 25 ranking. But only for this week, Houston to come back and win. Houston only for them to come back and lose against Houston. And then Arizona State is 5-3, and Houston is 7-1. So that's crazy work right there. So Houston, all right, Connor Weigman, 201 yards, 291 yards, 1 touchdown, and Connor Weigman also with 111 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. And Tanner Koziyal, 100 yards, 1 touchdown, and also with 4 sacks as well for the Houston Cougars. Now, Arizona State, on the other hand, not so much a success. Sam Levitt, 270 yards passing, 1 touchdown, and also with Jeff Sims for the Arizona State Sun Devils, 58 yards and 1 touchdown as well. And also Chamon Mateer and also Cameron Harpo, both with receiving touchdowns for the Arizona State. But Houston Cougars, that got their energy, and believe it or not, I'm going to tell y'all something right now. I'm not going to lie. Well, Houston beat Arizona State, and Houston's only 7-1. I will not be surprised if Houston is relatively in the top 25. So, and the thing is that with Houston, they're all the Big 12. Now, Houston is in the Big 12 as well. So, with Houston losing one game, I'll suspect that Houston will be in the top 25. Come tomorrow on when the polls come out. But moving on, the Cougars, yeah, they definitely got their energy. But moving on to on the other, hold on, my bad. Moving on to the other games. I'm sorry. Moving on to the other game. Michigan putting in work on them boys. Michigan beating the crap ton out of Michigan State. And Michigan, I think they've only lost one game or two games. How many games have they lost? Well, it don't matter. Michigan losing. Michigan beating Michigan State. I'm sorry. Michigan beating Michigan State. They lost 2 games in 25. Michigan beat Michigan State. With Bryce Underwood. Hold on for a second. This daggone thing keep making this noise, y'all. Pause. Okay. All right. Let me go back down here. With Michigan beating Michigan State. Bryce Underwood, guess what's crazy? Bryce Underwood, 86 yards and no touchdowns. Actually, Bryce Underwood with no touchdowns and under 100 yards. That's crazy work. But guess what, though? Justice Haynes, 152 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. Jordan Marshall with 110 yards rushing and a touchdown. And also Bryce Underwood with the rushing touchdown as well with 26 yards rushing. And no receiving touchdown for them. No receiving touchdowns for the Wolverines as well. And 4 sacks for the Wolverines. Go blue, right? Michigan State, not so fortunate. I mean, Aiden Childs, 130 yards, passing, no touchdowns. But Alessio Millie Voca. Alessio Milivojevic. Yeah, Milivojevic. 6 yards passing, 1 touchdown. But guess what? Mekhi Frazier with the touchdown, 109 yards. No touchdown, but 109 yards rushing. And also with Michael Mousnas. Oh man, these daggone names. I'm butchering names tonight, right? Mousnas with the touchdown for Michigan State as well. But like I said, go blue, Michigan blue. Michigan definitely got that. Michigan, go blue. They got their Wolverines. Definitely got their energy. Next matchup for Michigan, Purdue, and then Northwestern, then Maryland, and Ohio State. So that Ohio State, that big time matchup is coming up, y'all. So definitely got their energy. Now moving on. Another upset that happened. Like I said, other than Arizona State losing, Illinois losing against. Oh my God. Illinois losing against the Washington Cougars, right? So Illinois is losing. Illinois with a loss to the Washington Cougars. And Illinois, on the other hand, everybody, like I said, Illinois has been up and down all year. If you ask me, I think Illinois has relatively been up and down this year. And Illinois, they had some tough losses. They lost 3 games. And actually, the Cougars had a better record than Illinois. So with the Illinois losing 6-2, and with the Washington Cougars losing, with the Washington Cougars winning against the Illinois Fighting Illini, they could sneak up in their top 25. So Demond Williams, okay, check this out. Demond Williams Jr., okay, 280 yards passing, 4 touchdowns for Washington. And then also Denzel Boston with 12 yards rushing and a touchdown. Jonah Coleman with 75 yards rushing and a touchdown. Also, Desmond Roebuck, 36 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns for the Cougars, and Denzel Boston with 53 yards, 153 yards receiving, and 1 touchdown. And Ducker on the graph with the touchdown as well. So Washington putting in their work, and just what? Ain't no sacks in this game, right? That's crazy. No sacks in this game for the Washington Cougars. And guess what? Luke Altmaier for Illinois, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Crazy work. You cannot be throwing them interceptions like crazy. I mean, speaking of interceptions, we get Texas A&M in a minute, but they balled out tonight though. Colin Dixon and also with Tanner Arkin with a touchdown for Illinois. But Washington, they got the energy. Them boys coming in. And also Washington's on this. Hey, they're 6-2, and they're in the Big Ten. I mean, they're down there, but they're 6-2. So they by this win, they become bowl eligible. So now, around about this time, this is where teams going to be become bowl eligible. So now Washington on their schedule next. Okay, they got Wisconsin, Purdue, UCLA, and Oregon. So actually, they got a big game. Oh my bad, hold on. Actually, they got a big game coming up at the end of the season with Washington. They got Oregon at the end of the season, so that's going to be a very interesting matchup right there. But anyway, Washington, that's the remainder of their schedule, and I actually like Washington in this matchup. I actually like Washington probably being Oregon. But moving on, let's go ahead and go to Texas and Mississippi State now. Eli Manning, one of them getting hurt in the game in overtime, came down, got helped off the field by the trainers and things of that nature. So Texas wound up beating Mississippi State in overtime. Mississippi State 0-4 in the SEC, and they're 4-4. Texas is 6-2. So it looks like it maybe living up to the billing when they play Georgia. So they do play Georgia next Monday. Eli Manning, 346 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Matthew Caldwell, 10 yards passing, 1 touchdown. Now also Arch Manning with the touchdown as well. And Emmett Mosley Jr., Emmett Mosley the fifth, 53 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns. But guess what? Ryan Wingo with 184 yards, but no touchdown. Don't even matter. And guess what? Texas Longhorns hooked them, 7 sacks. Mississippi State with 5 sacks, right? And also guess what? Blake Shapen, okay? 381 yards passing, 1 touchdown. Kamario Taylor with the 1 yard pass, 1 yard touchdown. Did just for passing. Now also Brendan Thompson with 2 touchdowns for Ole Miss. For Mississippi State. Devon Booth with the touchdown as well. And so do Traore and Sam West with the touchdown for Mississippi State. But like I said, the game went into overtime. Texas came into overtime, won the game in overtime. Eli Manning got hurt. I don't know what the status is for Eli Manning. And speaking of which, so let me go ahead and get back to this. Okay, so let me get back to this real quick. I'm sorry. So there have been rumblings. There have been said that Steve Sarkisian, and I'm gonna put this in my short real quick. Let me go to my notes real quick. Now it have been said that Steve Sarkisian. I'm gonna read this. This is per. This is per NFL Inside. NFL Insider Deanna Ruzzini, and this is according to NFL Insider Deanna Ruzzini. She was stating that she reported that Steve Sarkisian, head coach of the Texas Longhorns, has let the NFL decision makers know that he's interested in potential head coaching openings, including the Tennessee Titans job for the 2026 NFL season. So, with Texas winning, just in my opinion, I feel like Steve Sarkisian, I think he's just tired of coaching college football. He is an NFL. Well, Steve Sarkisian is he's in between. No, he can. I think Steve Sarkisian can coach both levels of football. I think he's more of a pro coach than he is a college coach. But he did have some time with the Falcons, and never mind. Anyway, like I said, Sarkisian, he does have some NFL coaching experience. Also with the college as well. I just think that I don't think Texas is the right fit for him. I like Steve Sarkisian in a way. I like Steve Sarkisian being in the Big Ten conference. He's not an SEC guy to me. Georgia's my team. I'm an SEC guy, but at the same time, SEC, we have a certain pedigree, when you're in the SEC. It's defense first, and then, we can always get the offense, but it's mostly defense. And Sarkisian is not he's not an SEC guy. And not to say he's not a bad coach, but he's just not a SEC guy. I can see Sarkisian maybe somewhere in the Big 12 or the Big 10. That's why I see him at. He's not an SEC guy. And no hate on him. I think he's a good coach, good in development quarterback. So, he's come from USC. Him and Lane Kiffin, with their West Coast offense. But that doesn't necessarily, transpose that into the SEC. But like I said, I just had to put that out there. So Sarkisian pretty much looking for a job. This was reported by, Deanna Ruzzini. Deanna Ruzzini, NFL Insider. So she was reporting that. But Texas definitely got their energy. And they got Georgia coming up on the schedule. I'm sorry. My bad. Right here, y'all. I'm sorry. I was kind of messed up my screen a little bit. I had to go back real quick. But they definitely got Georgia coming up on the schedule. I don't know who they got next. But I know Georgia's in 2 weeks. No, it's actually, I think they have Georgia in 2 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. But, I'm sorry. Moving on, everybody. Let's go ahead and move on to this thing right here. Hold on for a second, because the video's about to get ready to play. Pause. I had to go to that video real quick. It kept pulling up on me. But moving on, everybody. Baylor and Cincinnati. Now, Baylor and Cincinnati. However, I do. Baylor, hey, they coming along. But Cincinnati, way too much of them boys, man. Cincinnati, 20. What's Cincinnati? That is number 21. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, Cincinnati, number 21. And so, putting in work on Baylor. Cincinnati definitely got their energy. 41-20. I mean, hey, okay, listen. Brendan Sorsby, quarterback for Cincinnati, 111 yards, 2 touchdowns, right? And then he also had the rushing touchdown as well with 85 yards rushing. And Tawee Walker with 84 yards rushing, and Evan Pryor with 1 rushing touchdown as well. Cyrus Allen with the touchdown reception, and Isaiah Johnson with the touchdown reception as well. And guess what? 2 sacks today by them Bearcats. Actually, this is Brian Keller's old alma mater. So that's where he came from. Then, I think he went from Cincinnati to Notre Dame, then went to LSU. Speaking of Brian Keller, we're going to get on him in a minute. Sawyer Robertson, okay, 137 yards for Baylor and 2 touchdowns. Also with Josh Cameron with the touchdown, Michael Teague with the touchdown. From Sawyer Robertson receiving. Those are receiving touchdowns. And no sacks for Baylor, but 2 sacks from Cincinnati. Bearcats, they definitely got the energy. Bearcats in the Big 12. Actually, Bearcats is 71 as well. So looking at the standings, BYU. So BYU and Cincinnati might be playing in the championship. And actually they got Utah coming up. So yeah, Utah, Arizona, and they got BYU. So they could be a clash of the Titans in their Big 12. So in Colorado, Colorado is out there getting manhandled right now by Utah. It's a shame what they're doing, them boys. I mean, hey, I don't know. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on. So definitely the Cincinnati Bearcats, they definitely got their energy. Moving on to the next game, everybody. Louisville and Boston College. Now, Louisville coming out their win last week of Miami, being number 2 Miami. Louisville coming out their major win last week, putting them back in. I mean, they pretty much catapulted them into the top 25, and they beat Boston College 38-14. Louisville on the road. Lamar Jackson's alma mater. Speak to Lamar Jackson. He's going to be out for tomorrow too. But guess what? Miller Moss with 187 yards passing, 1 touchdown, no interception. No interception. Then guess what though? Isaac Brown, 205 yards rushing, 1 touchdown. Keywan Brown, 95 yards rushing, 1 touchdown. Also, Miller Moss with 2 touchdowns as well. So Miller Moss with 2 rushing touchdowns and 1 touchdown. So and Colin Lacey with a touchdown. And guess what? Louisville, 2 sacks, everybody. Just 2 sacks. That's fine. But putting in work on Boston College from 1-7. You know what? I ain't gonna go talk about Boston College. But yeah, anyway, Grayson James from Boston College, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I mean, that should tell you everything. But Cardinals definitely got their energy. So like I said, we getting close to the end of the season, everybody. So the Cardinals, who they got next? Okay, Virginia Tech, California, Clemson, SMH, my bad, SMU, no, SMH. And then they got Kentucky. So Louisville probably potential. Well, no, they got a bowl game, but if they get to the playoffs, that would be the determining factor. So like I said, Louisville 19. So they do have Miami. So they did beat Miami in the they did beat Miami last week. So they might have put them in the rankings or pretty much in the picture of winning the ACC. No, actually, no, I take that back. I forgot Georgia Tech still undefeated. Virginia, Georgia Tech still undefeated, and also they got the best conference records as well. And Virginia is 4 and they're undefeated. Pittsburgh undefeated as well. Louisville 3-1. So they will put Louisville down 4th at the bottom. So I know the conference championships are based on schedules now, not more so rankings. But at any rate, Louisville definitely got their energy. Moving on, man. Hey, Memphis coming off their loss last. Was it the loss that Memphis had last week? Memphis coming off a loss last week, and they beat South Florida tonight. So Memphis I think was it the loss they came up with last week? They lost. I think that yeah. Lost against Alabama last week, but came back mad today and beat South Florida, and pretty much upset South Florida. Like I said, South Florida. That's another upset in the top 25. And actually, Memphis scored 17 points in the 4th quarter, believe it or not. So Memphis definitely putting in work on those guys, man. Memphis, they coming up. They're coming up pretty strong. So I suspect Memphis would be right back in the top 25 on tomorrow. Brendan Lewis for Memphis with 307 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. Now also you got Greg Desrozier. Oh my God, Greg Desroziers. Yeah, Desroziers Jr. 33 yards, 1 touchdown. Frank Peasant. His last name is Peasant. I'm sorry. Frank Peasant with the touchdown for the Memphis Tigers. And also Cortez Braham Jr. with 2 touchdowns. And Memphis with 2 sacks. South Florida with 3 sacks. One enough to get it done. Byron Brown for the South Florida Bulls, 269 yards, 1 touchdown. But guess what? He also had 121 yards rushing as well. But at the same time, Memphis is relatively they're going to probably be back in the top 25 because with the Arizona State losing, with the Arizona State losing and also Illinois losing, so I think Memphis will probably sneak right back up in the top 25. South Florida, they're probably going to. South Florida will probably drop 7 spots, maybe 5 spots. They're probably either number 24 or 25. That's just my opinion because they lost tonight. So they still have a win, somewhat a decent record, 6-2. So I suspect they will probably drop 5 or 6 spots. And then again, if they drop out, if South Florida drops out, that means that someone else is going to probably they're probably going to drop out the top 25. If they do drop out the top 25, I do suspect that a team who hold on. Let me bag up with me. Hold on for a second. Who somebody beat somebody? I'm looking. Hold on. Oh yeah, I forgot. I think Houston and Memphis probably gonna get back up in there because of those 2 losses between Arizona State and Illinois. So I do suspect probably Michigan them and move up. Michigan and maybe some other team will move up, but however, South Florida probably gonna drop 4 or 5 spots. So that's what I was trying to get at. But like I said, I said this at the end of the cast and everything. I said this at the end, in the final segment. But moving on, everybody, let's go ahead and just keep on pushing. Tennessee and Kentucky. I mean, Tennessee, Kentucky, right? I mean, I don't want to, get into that whole little mixed bag. Tennessee, came in showing out. I mean, coming off the embarrassing loss last week against Alabama. Drew Aguilar, 396 yards passing, three touchdowns. And also Star Thomas with 64 yards rushing and a touchdown. Deshaun Bishop with 2 touchdowns. Peyton Lewis with the touchdown. This is crazy work. Chris Brazel the second, 138 yards, 1 touchdown. Mike Matthews with 107 yards, 1 touchdown. And Braylon Staley with 105 yards but no touchdown. And guess what? Ethan Davis with a touchdown as well. And guess what? Only got 1 sack. But Kentucky, well, never mind, it's Kentucky. I mean, we'll just leave it like that. But hold on. My bad. I actually overlooked them. I'm sorry. Cutter Boley, okay? 330 yards passing, 5 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Yeah, so pretty decent work, guys. So Tennessee definitely got the energy. Who's Tennessee? I know they got Vanderbilt at the end of the season, but who's Tennessee playing this? Okay, Oklahoma, New Mexico State, Florida, and then Vanderbilt. So, like I said, we're getting to the end of the season where these games are coming up. So definitely got the energy. So, give me about a quick 30 seconds, real quick, everybody. Let me come back to you guys. Give me a quick 30 seconds, real quick. Maybe less than 30 seconds. Hold tight, everybody. Just hold tight. Let me go here real quick. Just count to 30. I'll be back in 30 seconds. Watch. Okay, everybody, I am back. All right, let me pull this mic up to you. See, I told you less than 30 seconds. Well, I had to, at 30 seconds, the reason why I say 30 seconds is because I had my AC on because I got these lights. I don't know if you can see these lights or not. So I got, I got a haircut finally, so thank God, right? So I got some lights in my room. So these lights, you know, they're not like Fresnel lights, but they're like studio lights or things in nature, cool lights. But however, you know, with the computer running, with the computer running, and the lights and the amp, and I mean with the compressors and the overhead light I got right here, you know, things kind of, they're not heat, they don't heat up to where you sweat, but you know, because this stuff is running, things can warm up. So I had to cut the AC on. Well, it's already on, had to just turn the temperature down, meaning up a little bit. Not in heat, not in terms of heat. When you turn it down on the AC, that means you turn the temperature up on the AC. So that's what I'm trying to say. But anyway, I just had to turn it on real quick, so I won't break out in sweat, and I'll be start doing like this, and you know, trying to cool myself and myself. But anyway, continuing on, folks. Yeah. Also, like I said, Tennessee. Back to the regular schedule program now. Also, like I said, Tennessee, they got Vanderbilt coming up at the end of the season, and Tennessee is ranked number 17. So, Tennessee, that could be some interesting things going on with that whole little thing. And also, I just got word from CBS Sports for the rankings. Remember, I was going on the rankings earlier, so I get to those rankings later. These are not official rankings, but these are projected rankings that I'm gonna read off to you guys. But this is called CBS Sports. But moving on, let me go back to my stuff real quick. Interact. Yeah, moving on. All right, Virginia. Hey man, Virginia's struggling against what's the name? Virginia's struggling against UNC, man. I mean, you know, that game went into overtime, man. Yeah, actually the game went into overtime. So Virginia and North Carolina. So Bill Belichick's, you know, NFL great coach Bill Belichick. Okay, UNC, Gio Lopez, 208 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, right? And yeah, and Davion Galls with a touchdown for UNC. And Virginia, on the other hand, came in and put in work on them boys. So basically, pretty much, it was 10. Okay, Virginia scoring 3 points in the first quarter, 7 points in the second quarter, which relatively was 10 in the whole. It was they scored no points in the second half. Same thing with UNC, just 10 points in the second quarter. So the game was like 10 all until they went to overtime, and I think maybe North Carolina might have missed an extra point or something like that. I mean, I haven't seen the highlights or anything, but anyway, now that's for Virginia. I mean, that was for UNC. Now Chandler Morris, 200 yards, passing, 1 touchdown, and that was pretty much the only touchdown for the game. And also, UNC, this crazy work. UNC was 3 sacks. I mean, no, Virginia with 3 sacks. UNC with 6 sacks. So pretty much, hey, I mean, you know, in Virginia, but UNC with 6 sacks. That was some, you know, pretty interesting there. Looked like some Bill Belichick type defense, you know, putting in work on Virginia today. You know what I'm saying? Hey, UNC might be, not saying they're getting together. Hey, they look like some Bill Belichick defense to me, if you ask me, with 6 sacks, you know, against Virginia. But at any rate, but UNC definitely got their energy. So let's go ahead and go home. I'm going to go ahead and just go to the next game itself. I'll be trying to speed this up a little bit because I don't want to keep you guys long neither. Moving on to Texas Tech and Oklahoma State. Texas Tech coming off that embarrassing, that terrible loss last week, that heartbreaking loss last week against Arizona State. You know, they went down, man, they went from 7-14 now. Mitch Griffiths for Texas Tech, 172 yards passing and 1 touchdown. And Patrick Mahomes' alma mater, right? Will Hammond, 102 yards passing and 1 touchdown. Cameron Dickey, Cameron Dickey, 47 yards, 1 touchdown. Also, Mitch Griffiths with a touchdown run as well. Caleb Douglas with 98 yards receiving, 1 touchdown. Jacoby Williams with the touchdown for Texas Tech as well. So, also 1 sack, but Oklahoma State 3 sacks, but you know what? Sam Jackson the 5th, Oklahoma State, only 48 yards passing. No touchdown, no interception. Noah Walters, 39 yards passing. No touchdowns, no interceptions. Well, the score was 0 anyway. I'm just trying to read you the crazy stats, the crazy work stats up in here. Trent Howland, 58 yards rushing, no touchdown. I mean, well, don't worry about touchdowns. But then the score, I was just trying to read, just read these stats real quick. But Texas Tech definitely got the energy. They're in the Big 12. And this is crazy about it. This is the craziest thing about on the Big 12, right? You got BYU, Cincinnati, Texas Tech, and Houston, all on my 71-0 records, right? But BYU has got the better. Well, they're undefeated in the Big 12 in the conference, so BYU is first place within the conference. But Texas Tech, they've got their energy. Now Texas Tech, they play. Yeah, they do. They play BYU. Today is the I don't know what. Okay, they play BYU in 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks if they don't have a bye. So Texas Tech and BYU, that's gonna be a. Oh, and BYU gotta go to Texas Tech, so that's gonna be a nice game right there. So yeah, that game's coming up. But Texas Tech definitely got their energy. Texas Tech got Kansas State next at Kansas State. But anyway, just gonna give you guys this tidbit right there. Now moving on, BYU. I was just talking about BYU too. So BYU and Iowa State. BYU came in putting in work. BYU, 41-27, and actually BYU is undefeated as well, so they're number 11 in the country. Now BYU, okay, Bear Bachmeier, 307 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, right? Bear Bachmeier with 49 yards rushing and a touchdown as well. LJ Martin with 15 yards rushing and a touchdown, and also Parker Kingston, 133 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns for BYU. Chase Robinson, 128 yards and 2 touchdowns. Oh no, it's 128 yards and no touchdowns. I'm sorry. And also BYU with 4 sacks. Now Iowa State 4 sacks, and Rocco Beck, 311 yards passing. Look, 1 touchdown and 3 interceptions. Bruh, throwing the ball on the number 11 team in the country with 3 interceptions. Boy, you gave them boys everything. You gave them boys. You can do them, putting them boys in good position all day. Now Carson Hansen, 152 yards rushing for Iowa State. Don't get me wrong, 152 yards, 2 touchdowns for Carson Hansen for Iowa State. Abu Samad III, 63 yards rushing, no touchdown. Eskildson, I'm sorry. 75 yards rushing, 1 touchdown. Benjamin Brahmer, 75 yards, no touchdowns for Iowa State. But BYU definitely got the energy. They got the big game coming up against Texas Tech. A big primetime matchup. Now moving on, Vanderbilt. Oh yeah, Vanderbilt. Hey, listen, let me tell y'all something real quick. Vanderbilt, don't get me wrong, Vanderbilt is back. Look, I'm not gonna lie, Vanderbilt is for real. Listen, Vanderbilt is for real. We thought last year, like, yeah, maybe just a fluke, this and the other. Vanderbilt, at least for right now, and no disrespect to Vanderbilt, Vanderbilt is for real. I mean, they beat Mizzou, number 10 team in the country. In my opinion, I don't think no one moves up or moves down in the top 10, maybe a spot here or there, because Georgia was off this week. Excuse me, Georgia having a bye week. I think Ohio State had a bye. Did Ohio State play today? I don't think they played today neither. I don't think Ohio State played today, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think Ohio State played today. I don't think they played today. I think Ohio State had a bye week this week. I didn't see anything with Ohio State. I don't see anything in the schedule either. But I don't see any projections going on, because Vanderbilt, they may move up to number 9. Who knows? I don't know. But Vanderbilt, they're for real this year. Vanderbilt is for real this year. I'm not gonna lie. Vanderbilt is for real. I mean, they was real. I mean, we thought last year was a fluke. No, Vanderbilt, they did real deal. They like real deal Holyfield. But Vanderbilt beating Mizzou 10-17. Diego Pavia putting in work. It was he didn't really put in no work. I'm sorry. 129 yards rushing and no touchdowns and 1 interception. But McCollin Young, 86 yards rushing, 1 touchdown, and Diego Pavia actually got a touchdown as well. So pretty much the passing, subpar or what have you. Mizzou, Matt Zollers, 130 yards passing, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Ahmad Hardy, 97 yards rushing, no touchdowns. But guess what? Kevin Coleman Jr. with 109 yards receiving, no touchdowns. And Jude James with Jude James with just 29 yards, but he got a touchdown. Mizzou with 2 sacks, Vandy with 1 sack. And Vandy, pretty interesting schedule. They definitely got the energy. Now guess what? Vanderbilt, they got Texas, Auburn, Kentucky, and Tennessee. So they definitely got not to say they have a gauntlet. I just think that Vanderbilt does, in my opinion, Vanderbilt, they don't have a gauntlet. Yeah, they don't have a gauntlet, but they do have an interesting schedule though. So they do have Texas. They got Kentucky. They got Texas, Auburn, Kentucky, and then then Tennessee. So those are the remaining games that they have left. This should be they have some interesting games. Now, with Tennessee and Texas, that remains to be seen. Now, the Texas game, I feel like with Vanderbilt, I think the Texas game may be a trap game. But anyway, moving on. Let's go ahead and move on with the remaining games that we have on schedule. So I guess in my other segment, Miami and Stanford. Come on, man, Miami and Stanford. Y'all know what time it is. Miami coming off their loss last week against Louisville. Carson Beck came in putting in crazy work today. Miami 42, Stanford 7. Carson Beck 189 yards, 1 touchdown. But guess what though? Mark Fletcher Jr. 106 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns. So definitely putting in work on them boys. Also Miami with 2 sacks. Stanford no sacks. And also Ben Goldbranson with 50 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. But Miami, they definitely got the energy. Miami with the remaining schedule that they have left. Okay, they got SMU, Syracuse, North Carolina State, Virginia Tech, and Pitt. So Miami could possibly win this thing all the way out. But actually, Georgia Tech is the leading team in the ACC until they play Georgia. Anyway, but definitely Miami definitely got the energy. And Duke, and then actually Duke has a better ACC record than Miami. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on to Oklahoma and Ole Miss. Like I said, Ole Miss coming off their tough loss last week against my Bulldogs. That game actually came down to the wire. But Ole Miss came in putting in work today. Trinidad Chambliss, 315 yards passing, 1 touchdown. Keywan Lacey, 78 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. Right. Also, Trey Buckler, okay, 8 yards receiving, 1 touchdown. But guess what? That Winston Watkins, 111 yards receiving and no touchdowns. But Ole Miss with 3 sacks today. Oklahoma with just 1 sack today. Struggle all day. Sategna the third, 131 yards receiving, 1 touchdown. Xavier Robinson for Oklahoma, 109 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. John Mateer, 230 yards passing, 1 touchdown. But Ole Miss definitely got the energy. Like I say, remaining schedule for Ole Miss, they have South Carolina, the Citadel, Florida, and Mississippi State. So, like I said, we're getting to the close to the end of the season. So, of course, you guys already know that pretty much this is probably, this is the last Saturday of football, college football, 2025 college football in October. This is the last Saturday game. Well, it's actually 12/13 right now, but this Saturday just passed. It's actually the last Saturday in October for college football. So, November 1st is next Saturday. So we pretty much get to the nitty-gritty, down to the last games and things of that nature, bye weeks. And pretty much, I would say by the end of next month, pretty much going to be, championship time. So it's going to have some different conversations. Also, not only that, ESPN is supposed to come out. I'll get that information later. I don't want to be correct. I only want to guess that. So ESPN, I think either this Tuesday coming up or next Tuesday after, they're going to be coming up with the CFP brackets, things of that nature. So I'll be coming up with that information later. I'll be looking into that as we're doing this on live stream. Also, but moving on, let's go ahead and move on to the Georgia Tech. Look, Georgia Tech and Syracuse game. Georgia Tech out here balling right now. Georgia Tech in the top 10. Georgia Tech out here balling. Georgia Tech is actually looking scarier and scarier right now, believe it or not. Georgia Tech beating Syracuse. Haynes King, 304 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. Also with 91 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. Wow. Haynes King pretty much it's pretty much all of Georgia Tech. Haynes King is Georgia Tech. He really is. Dean Patterson with the touchdown for the Yellow Jackets. The Swarm has swarmed all over the Orange Men today. Syracuse 16, 78 yards rushing touchdown. 79 yards rushing for Darryl Gill Jr. for the Orange Men and a touchdown. Also, Ricky Collins with the 224 yards passing and a touchdown as well. I'm sorry, Darrell Gill, Darrell Gill Jr. with 79 yards receiving and touchdown. I think I said rushing, but it's receiving. But Georgia Tech definitely got the energy. Now, Georgia Tech pretty much can win all the way out. Okay, it got NC State, Boston College, Pitt, and then they got Georgia. So pretty much, I think Georgia will probably win. Georgia will probably win all the way until that game when they play Georgia. That's just my opinion. So Georgia pretty much has Georgia Tech. I'm sorry, has a favorable schedule up until the end, up until the day after Thanksgiving. So it's gonna be a pretty interesting game. Now moving on up, Oregon and Wisconsin. Oregon, you know, like I said, Oregon pretty much has a favorable schedule as well. Oregon 21, Wisconsin, 7. Dan Lanning, for Oregon, head coach for Oregon. Shuggy Quack Quack, Dante Moore, 86 yards passing, no touchdowns. Brock Thomas, 46 yards passing, 1 touchdown. But guess what, though? Jordan Davidson, 102 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. How about that work? Janoris Wilson with a touchdown. And the Oregon Ducks with just 1 sack, but the Oregon definitely got the energy. So number 6, Oregon, beating the Stanford Cardinals. They got Iowa, Minnesota, USC, Washington. So this schedule looks pretty favorable as well. So moving on, let's go ahead and move on up. Alabama, Crimson Tide rolls out. Actually, Alabama Alabama had to come back, man. South Carolina had them on their heels at one point, right? So Alabama, South Carolina, you know, Ty Simpson. Yeah, pretty much, you know, Ty Simpson came back. I mean, Ty Simpson, Heisman hopeful, 220 yards passing, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. Now, I'm sorry. Wrong stat. Ty Simpson, 253 yards and 2 touchdowns, okay? Now, guess what? Jeremy Bernard, 23 yards rushing and a touchdown as well. Also, Daniel Hill with 76 yards, no touchdown. Ryan Williams with 72 yards receiving, no touchdowns. And Jeremy Bernard with 54 yards receiving and a touchdown. Now, Bama with 2 sacks. South Carolina with Gamecocks with 2 sacks. Also with Lenore Sellers with 222 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and also with the rushing touchdown as well. But Bama definitely got the energy. Alabama, hey, guess what? Alabama, they got LSU next. Well, we get to LSU later. LSU, Oklahoma, Eastern Illinois, and Auburn. So the Crimson Tide, this schedule looks pretty favorable. So Crimson Tide, I think here's my deal right here. I think with Alabama, the schedule looks pretty favorable, but however, I don't want to say this. I think it. Okay, best case scenario, they went out. Look, the teams I just named, they went out. LSU, Oklahoma, Auburn, Eastern Illinois, fine. But guess what though? However, I gotta keep this in the back of my mind, so subconscious. However, I do feel like it's a trap game. Worst case scenario, it's a trap game in those games I just named. I mean, in those teams I just named. Okay, East Illinois, they're gonna win it convincingly. No disrespect to you guys, but they're gonna beat y'all. Okay, now LSU, Oklahoma, Auburn, possibly trap games. Now, I'm not saying that, no, Bama probably going to win those games, but however, these are still SEC teams. And one thing about the SEC, if you ain't careful in the SEC, you're going to get snuck up on in the SEC. So, Bama, their schedule looks pretty favorable, but you still have to watch those teams, though. So, that's all I really wanted to say. But Alabama definitely got their energy. However, moving on to the other scores and the other things that are going on in that nature. Let me get the I'm gonna save Texas A&M and LSU for last. I'm gonna pass that one intentionally and on purpose. Now, Indiana and UCLA. Hey, look, Indiana, crazy work with Indiana, right? Nico M. Alievia, right? 113 yards passing, two interceptions and no touchdown. You know what? This is probably the only bright spot I have. Actually, listen, no sacks today from nobody from UCLA. Now, let me go ahead and go to Indiana. Okay, Indiana Fernando Mendoza, 168 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Right. Alberto Mendoza. Oh, are they brothers? I don't know. They may be brothers. 45 yards passing, no touchdowns, 1 interception. But guess what, though? Roman Hemby, 81 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. Fernando Mendoza with the rushing touchdown, but and also Alberto Mendoza with the rushing touchdown as well. Also, E.J. Williams Jr. with 109 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns for Indiana. Elijah Surratt with the touchdown as well, 6 yards receiving. Now, my thing is this right here. Hey, the Hoosiers are the number 2 team. Hold on. Oh, my bad. Let me do this real quick. I was going to switch back over real quick. Hold on for a sec, y'all. I was going to switch back over real quick. Okay. Check this out right here. The Hoosiers could run the table. I'm going to tell you why. Let me read their schedule real quick. Okay, they Maryland, Penn State, Wisconsin, Purdue. The Hoosiers are the number 2 team in the country. This schedule is pretty favorable. Let me read the schedule to you one more time. Maryland, Penn State just getting rid of James Franklin. Wisconsin, which has been playing hardball all year. Purdue, pretty much been, Purdue lost again today. Wait, was it lost? Yeah, I think lost against Rutgers, if I'm not mistaken. Or did they play? I don't know if they played Rutgers. Did they play today? I don't think they played today. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, Purdue. Yeah, they got to play Indiana. That's the in-state rival. So, yeah, Purdue. So Indiana has a pretty favorable schedule. And Indiana may wind up going to the Big Ten championship. Okay, it's got Indiana. Actually, Indiana, because of the record, they're actually in first place in the Big Ten, and they don't play nobody else tough no more. So it could be now. Ohio State plays Michigan. They got to go to Michigan to play. I think Michigan probably will beat Ohio State this year again. So it could be Indiana and Oregon in a rematch in the Big Ten championship game. So that's a pretty interesting dynamic right there. But moving on. So Indiana definitely got the energy. I think they have Maryland next, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they have Maryland next. But at any rate, let me go ahead and get to the game that that I thought would be an interesting game tonight. Texas A&M and LSU. Not Louisiana State, but Louisiana, because they lousy. Let's be honest, they are lousy. They are lousy. Lousy. Listen, lousy. LSU came in preseason with all the hype. You know how they had a big transfer portal. How they had a big transfer portal class and had number 1 transfer portal class in the nation. But Marcel Reed for Texas A&M. Okay, hold up. A&M 49, LSU 25. Marcel Reed for Texas A&M. 202 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions, right? Marcel Reed with 188 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns, right? He had 2 passing touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns. Okay, Jamarion Morrow with a touchdown, with a rushing touchdown. And Nate Borkirker with the rushing touchdown as well. Also, Casey Concepcion with a touchdown reception, and Jamarion Morrow with a receiving touchdown as well. Now guess what? Texas A&M, because I seen Brent Musburger. Let me tell you something real quick. Well, you know what? I ain't gonna even say it. But guess what? I seen Brent Musburger on the ground. I mean, listen, I was gonna say something else, but not what I'm getting ready to say. Listen. Musburger, is it Brent? What's his name again? Yeah, Garrett. I was about to say Brent. Garrett Musburger. Listen, I thought Garrett Nussmeier was a groundhog because he was on the ground more than he was on his feet tonight. He was on the ground. I was going, but now get your mind out the gutter. Garrett Nussmeier was on the ground. I thought he was a groundhog. I thought he was a beaver or a worm because he was on the ground. An earthworm, because I thought he was an earthworm because he was on the ground more so he was on his feet. They kept saying, one sack he took for 16 yards. They kept sacking him. Actually, he got so tired of it, he just like, you know what, just take me out the game. They took him out the game because he couldn't handle it. So, yeah, A&M definitely got the energy. A&M was undefeated. I think A&M has a pretty favorable schedule too. Let me check real quick. A&M, okay, Missouri, okay, South Carolina, Stanford, Stanford, and then Texas. So the schedule looks pretty favorable. I think A&M can beat Mizzou, and they got to go to Mizzou and play. So yeah, I think the schedule looks pretty favorable, and they got Texas the last game of the season. I think A&M can run this thing all the way out. The schedule looks pretty favorable. The schedule looks pretty favorable. So it could be A&M and Alabama in the SEC championship game. I mean, unless one of those teams lose, maybe well, no, because A&M. Yeah, the schedule is pretty favorable. So it'll pretty much be between Georgia and Alabama, but Alabama has a tiebreaker because they beat Georgia. So it could be A&M, Alabama in the SEC championship game, unless Alabama gets caught up in one of those trap games. So we'll see about that, but definitely got that energy. Now, moving on to my other segment, man. So let's go ahead and move on. Let's see. Oh, my bad. Let me hit the internet button here real quick. Internet button. Hold on. Okay, there it is. Okay. All right, this is the schedule that we have for next week, everybody. Let me blow this up. Okay, there it is. I had to blow that up. Okay. All right, now, Georgia Tech. Now, moving on to Georgia Tech. Okay, this is the schedule for next Saturday, okay? Oh, hold on. Let me hit the pause button. This thing is playing again, Hold on. Hit the pause. Okay. Now, moving on. All right, Georgia Tech, NC State. All right, Georgia Tech winning. All right, I got Georgia Tech beating NC State. South Carolina and Ole Miss. Ole Miss gonna put up a whoop stick. Ole Miss with the whoop stick. They're gonna put them up. South Carolina BTA. I'll belt the ass. Miami SMU. I like Miami. Notre Dame Boston College. Notre Dame. Tennessee Oklahoma. That's a pretty interesting matchup right there. However, I think Tennessee has a better offense than Oklahoma's defense. So I do like Tennessee beating Oklahoma, and then they're at home too. Texas Tech, Kansas State, right? Texas Tech, I got Texas Tech in that matchup. Virginia, California, I like Virginia winning that game. And let's see, Cincinnati and Utah. That's a pretty interesting game right there. A Big 12 matchup. I actually like Cincinnati and Utah. Okay, I'm gonna take. That's a tricky game right there. Arizona State, Iowa State. That's another tricky game. I like Iowa State beating Arizona State. Cincinnati and Utah, I'm still stuck on that game. I'm going to go ahead and go with Cincinnati on that game. I'm going to go ahead and go with that. Ohio State and Penn State. Okay, of course, Ohio State winning that game. Vanderbilt and Texas, a very interesting game right there. That's a very interesting game with Vanderbilt and Texas. Vanderbilt is on the road. I like Vanderbilt winning that game. Illinois, Rutgers, I like Illinois. Louisville, I like Louisville over Virginia Tech. Indiana over Maryland. I like Georgia over Florida. Florida's getting rid of their coach. Michigan and Purdue. Michigan won that game. So those are the games. Those are my predictions for the games that are coming up next week. Hold on for a second. Let me do this screen real quick, everybody. Oh, there it is. All right, hold on. Let me do this screen here real quick. All right, there it is. All right, yeah. So I do like that on that matchup. Now, moving on to my other segment. I'm about to end this show about another 5 or 10 minutes anyway. But let me go ahead and go back here. Now, here's another tidbit of information here. So these are the projections that, according to CBS Sports, these are relatively the projections that are coming up for tomorrow. These are just projections. These are not set in stone. These are just relatively projections. Now, with the top 25 teams, all right, these are the projections. Okay, Ohio State. Okay, of course they're gonna be number 1. Indiana number 2. Like I said, these rankings might not change. A&M number 3. Alabama number 4. Georgia number 5. Ole Miss. Now, this is where it's gonna get interesting. Ole Miss, because they beat Oklahoma today, which is a ranked team. Ole Miss jumping Oregon, because Oregon was number 6. Now Ole Miss will be jumping Oregon, moving up to number 6. Georgia Tech number 7, so that's not gonna change. Oregon coming from 6 to 8, because Oregon, they should have beat. Who did they play? Who they play today? Hold on for a second. Let me see who did Oregon play today. They played somebody today. Hold on, let me go back to the Oregon. Oh yeah, Wisconsin. Yeah. So I felt like Oregon should have. The score should have been, pretty much a lot. The score should have been, I would say, quote unquote, a lot higher than 21. So I think Oregon just dropped 2 places simply because Oregon. I think Oregon just dropped 2 places because of strength of schedule, and Ole Miss had a better game today. So that's pretty much the gist of that. Now Vanderbilt moving up to number 9. Yeah, so Vanderbilt moving up to number 9. BYU, Vanderbilt going from 10 to 9, so they moved up 1 spot. BYU, number 10. BYU, number 10. Miami, number 11. Now, here's another situation. The same thing with the Oregon Ole Miss situation. So I felt like the reason why Vanderbilt moved up to number 9 because strength of schedule. Because Mizzou was a ranked team, and Stanford was like just a cupcake team, a Woody Poo team. So that's why I felt like they switched them around. So these are just relative projections. So if these were like real analytical rankings, so that would be my theory as to why these teams are moving around. Now Texas Tech come from 13 to 14. Notre Dame cracking the top 12. Texas Tech number 13 from 14. Tennessee to 14, moving up to 14, number 17. Cincinnati from 21 to 15. Virginia from 6. Okay, they're going to stay the same. Louisville from 17. They were formerly 19. Texas 18 to 22 because South Florida lost today. Oklahoma 19 to 13 because Oklahoma did lose today, so that's why they dropped. Missouri 15 to number 20 because they lost today too. Michigan, they were 25. They moved up, so they beat Michigan State today. Memphis, like I said, not ranked, but at the same time, I told you Memphis, and like I told you, Memphis winning today, this is gonna crack the top 25. This is just like, this nothing set in stone. Navy, okay, so the Navy was the team that moved up, so Navy would be number 23 team, and like I said, Houston, there it is right there. I told you, Houston, between Houston and the Navy, Houston and Memphis, those 2 teams might have cracked the top 25 because Houston is not like 71, so they ain't really losing. So they beat Arizona State. Yeah, they did beat Arizona State. So Arizona State. Who else is in this game? Arizona State. Hold on. It was Arizona State. Hold on. Arizona State. Illinois. My bad. Yeah, this who it was. Yeah. Because with Arizona State and Illinois losing, those teams, I figured those teams would be not that top 25, and South Florida losing as well. And number 25, rounding out will be USC. So USC's probably probably getting back up in the rankings, top 25. But any rate, that's what I have for you guys tonight. My co-host D Lump couldn't be here tonight. Like I said, we probably be more in depth to these games, but like I said, I got some NFL stuff to do. And I got to make a quick short video talking about the NFL and things of that nature. The NBA gambling scandal, I was going to talk about that tonight as well, but I'm going to talk more in depth about that tomorrow. But at any rate, now the thing is, Bernard, why are you talking about NBA? Because I'm talking about the NBA. The reason why I'm talking about the NBA gambling scandal is because I think, just in my opinion, I think the NBA it's not even the tip of the iceberg. This is just the beginning. I'm saying it one more time. That's not the tip of the iceberg. They're just beginning before they get to the tip of the iceberg. Like I said, the reason why I say that because they start with the NBA. However, I do believe that other leagues and sports will probably be implicated in this. So I'm gonna leave that at that. I won't get too much in depth into it because I gotta save that content for tomorrow. Peace out to you guys. Live stream tomorrow night after the Packers and Eagles game. I'll be live streaming tonight after the Packers and Eagles game. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. So we'll be streaming tomorrow night. Nice talking to you guys. Thank you for tuning into the show. I'll see you guys soon. Holla. Peace out.